There's a lot of things that go into these journeys, and this time it just feels really freeing.
What I was hoping to get started with was how you did in the World Championships.
Okay.
So you're just coming off of a silver and a bronze medal win.
Yes.
How are you feeling right now heading into an off season?
I'm feeling really good about the year. Yes, I'm really proud of World Championships. I'm proud that I medaled in my first World Cup of the season, and then was able to also follow that all the way through and to the end. And I felt like I hit my goals. I'm bummed I didn't win, of course. That's the true goal. I wanted to be world champion, but I can't be upset with a solid performance, and that's what I had.
How difficult is it to compete in a sport that is so heavily dominated by Europeans historically?
Ooh, great question. I think it's all I know is to compete in this sport in this way, but of course it's frustrating. It becomes frustrating when you see some of the decisions that are made, and just to feel like you're kind of always on that uphill battle. But that's just part of it, and that's also, on the other side, the challenge of the sport is what keeps me coming back to it. So if we didn't have that, I might not be here anymore. I don't know.
You got into this through slider search. Is slider search helping to kind of chip away at that European dominance and allow the Americans to really gain some ground? I mean, when you look at the Olympic team, both men and women, and the way they've performed over the past couple of cycles?
The slider search is huge for us. It really is so key to us being able to have that pipeline of athletes that be consistent. I don't know if it helps us kind of compete with other countries on a different level, but I think it's imperative for our success and the success that we've had so far, definitely.
I know that's how you got into it, but how do other people get into luge? It seems like, if you were playing lacrosse or soccer or basketball, right?
There's programs everywhere.
Right. Not so much for luge.
No, I think it kind of finds you, right? So there's a few of us on the team who have gotten in through different ways. Some people have lived locally and kind of come around to the track through the local program, but most of us are through the slider search program. But I happened to get into it because we were living in South Carolina at the time, and my dad had the 3 kids. I'm one of 3 kids. It had us up here visiting his family because he's from Saranac Lake, and my aunt just saw an ad in the newspaper for the slider search. So if we hadn't been here at that time, and if my aunt hadn't looked at the paper that day, my life would have looked very different. So it just kind of finds you.
How has it been? I talked to your sister about this 4 years ago. What was it like to have your sister be somebody who essentially got you into the sport in one way or another?
I can't say how lucky I am to have Megan as my sister. Like, she's truly the best. Like, she's my best friend. She is the best person to look up to. She never made me feel like that annoying younger sister, which is exactly what I was growing up. So I don't know. She just always, even to this day, she always includes me in everything. I was just out for her birthday with her friends, and it's just, she's the best. And having her in sport, and I learned a lot from her, and also just that time that we had together on tour was really special. And yeah, I will always look fondly at that time. It was incredibly challenging. That was at the time of my career where you're young and you're taking the hits every day. But having my sister there was really special.
Well, and then at one point competing against each other for a spot.
Oh yes, no, it was a lot.
I can imagine the dinner conversation after that was not exactly peaceful.
But it is, though. That's the thing. That's what's special about Megan, is that I always felt supported by her, even when we were directly competing for an Olympic spot, right? There was nothing left unsaid. There was nothing to be negatively said. She just is the best. I don't know how to say it.
How does it feel for you as an opportunity to go compete most likely to compete in the Olympics in Milan?
We'll see.
Right? Courses and times aside. If you get to go to Milan, the way that I started thinking about this was, you're building a house in Italy, right? So there's a little bit of a home track, so to speak, or at least a connection there to Italy. Then your fiancé. And I just wonder what that means to you, especially as this is now your 3rd Olympic cycle. What has changed for you in your approach to going to the Olympics?
I think that for my approach, it's different each quad. This time around, I'm really looking at my performance, not just to get to the Olympics. I'm looking at my performance at the Olympics, and I'm looking for stability. So when we look at our sled, my approach to our sled and what I'm looking for in sled technology is a bit different than what it was in the past. I think in the past we were trying to go for speed, and now I need speed and control. I need speed and control because without the control, yes, I was always able to throw down some incredible runs before, but now I'm having performances that are more complete because I'm looking for more stability through my choices and what we're putting on my sled. As far as my physical approach, every year is different, and I'm always fine-tuning my training programs, and I feel like I'm at a really good place right now. Right? I feel like I understand what my body needs. I understand how to read and listen to my body. So that approach I feel solid on. I feel like, okay, I'm finally experienced in that. And then mentally, I think I don't really have a chip on my shoulder about anything right going into these games, which is really nice. I think in the past ones, I've had that for some reason or another, right? There's a lot of things that go into these journeys, and this time it just feels really freeing.
Freeing? Mm-hmm. Because you don't have
Because I don't have anything I don't have any expectations or something that I feel like should have gone differently. Like, it's just, I'm here and I'm ready to see what I can do, not what I need to do or to get something or somewhere. It just is, I'm just like at peace with everything. I still want things, don't get me wrong. Like, I have my goals, but they are fueling me, not out of a way of spite. It's out of a way of like, okay, let's see what can happen. Not, I need to do this to prove something.
Goals, not expectations of yourself?
Yes.
I do want to touch on the technicalities of the sled, because as I heard you describe it,
yes,
I really had no idea that the athlete themselves were so involved in the mechanics and the building and the structure of the sled. I really unknowingly assumed that it was, somebody on the team takes care of the sleds.
Right.
Can you help our viewers understand what goes into your experience of quote unquote building a sled?
Every athlete is different, I would say, with what you're drawn to and how much of an input you want to have, and then also the exposure you've had to different things over your career. So for me, I'm incredibly lucky to have the staff that we have, who have, we all kind of use our minds in different ways, and we come together to be a strong team. So I have a very sensitive feeling on the sled, and this has been from day one, right? And that's just something that, I don't know, I guess that's my talent in luge is my feeling. It's also been my downfall at different points, because I read a lot of information on the sled through my body. But through that, I communicate with my coaches a lot on what our goal is moving forward. And then we're also in the shop, do you know how many hours? I know way too much about sandpaper and sanding and nuts and bolts and fiberglass than I should, really, because it's been years of all of that work. But I couldn't do it alone. That's definitely not it. I'm a good little worker in the workshop. I'm not the leader, but I.
Did you ever expect when you got back? Pardon me. You're how old?
I'm 32 tomorrow.
What? Oh, happy
yeah. Thanks.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So when you got into luge, 15, 20 years ago, did you ever expect that you were going to be that hands-on with a sled, or has it been that way all through your career?
Probably not.
Okay.
Because when I started 20 years ago, what was expected from the athletes was a little different too. Once you have different coaches, and also as a female athlete, when I started, it wasn't expected of us. And now throughout that time, now there's more, knowledge is seen as a good thing. Not a lot of times it was like, oh, don't let them focus on that part, and we'll focus on this part. And sometimes, it used to be that way, I think.
Right.
But now you have more responsibility on your sled than we did when I started. So, and I also think it was just within me. I grew up with a stay-at-home dad, so I grew up doing projects around the house all the time. And so we're doers, I guess. And it's really important to me to feel capable. So the only way to feel capable is to do a lot of different things and to learn a lot of different things. So it was kind of inevitable that I would be that in here, I think.
It's so funny to hear you say that, because that's kind of like what our job entails in many ways, is you can't just, there's quite literally a book that we had to buy, we didn't have to buy for college, but there's a book out there by one of the authors for a different thing I had to buy for college, and it's called It Takes More Than Good Looks to Work in TV News.
Right.
And that's kind of the sentiment I feel like of what you're saying is you are now expected to have the knowledge of, in our world, how to operate a camera, how to edit the video, how to ask the questions, how to put on clothes and make sure you look nice.
Right. It's not just what you see when I'm showing out to perform. There's a lot more that goes into it behind that.
But being capable of doing all of those things, I would imagine gives you more of a sense of control.
Yes. Yes, I agree. It does.
You don't have to agree with me.
No, I do. Sorry, I just touched something. It can also, it's like anything. I truly believe everything is like a pendulum, right? Like we swing one way and then we overcorrect the other way, and trying to find the balance there is really challenging. And if whatever your strength is, if you rely on it too heavily, it's going to become your weakness. So I feel like I'm at a point now where I'm pretty well-rounded in my strengths. Like I grew up, my problem was always my start. My whole story of being an athlete when I was younger, she's a great slider, she's just slow at the start. Okay, I had very top competitive starts this year. So it's like, okay, finally, I made up for that weakness. But but getting better there, it takes a little bit dip somewhere else. So
you can't be perfect in all of the areas.
No, never.
Though you want to be.
Absolutely. But that's part of it, and I think that's why I'm still here, is because there's always something that you're looking at to be better in, and the kind of like the environment is always changing, and that's external environments and internal environments. Like everything is changing, and you're just trying to do the best that you can each time.
Is it hard? I feel like I remember you saying when we talked probably 4 years ago over Zoom that like when you're sitting at the start, when you're sitting at the handles, you're not necessarily thinking about where you are, what country, what town, what course you might be on. Yeah, you know the course because you had to slide it, but you had said something about kind of your mentality when you sit at the handles.
I love that moment, yes. Right when they clear the track and the clock goes green, that's when everything falls away. So I was just watching Drive to Survive, getting caught up, and Leclerc was talking about the same thing, and I related so heavily on it. He goes, as soon as I get into the car, everything's good. And it's the same thing. As soon as they clear the track and I can kind of have my face shield up, I like give my 2 quick breaths to kind of contract everything, make sure everything's tight, ready to fire, and I pull my face shield down, and that is just like, that's a feeling that I don't find anywhere else.
It's the zone, the flow state, right?
It's just like there's zero distractions. Everything is just calm, and then it's go time, right? And then you find flow, and ideally.
I think a lot of people would not know the details of how you manipulate the sled down a track. Can you explain to somebody who's maybe not familiar with how it works?
I get it. I get when people watch the sliding sports and sometimes they say like,
aren't you just sliding down a sheet of ice?
But Luge, we have so much control. Our sleds work off of a scissor system. So you push down on one side, the other side kind of comes up and it directs you. If you're going to the left, you push down on the right, you go to left. But it's also very sensitive. So everything from me pushing my shoulder back to that will influence the sled.
That much?
That much. That's me steering. So it's very small. If I rotate my head, that affects it differently. How I breathe on the sled affects how much height I can get in a curve. So we really have so much control, which is why luge athletes take so long to develop, because to train all of those things, like it's just, there's a lot of control. And yeah.
You have to train those systems in isolation, and then you have to teach them to work synergistically.
Yes, and then you have to teach people how to react and also play it, right? So how to crash properly, how to, like, all of that is a part of it and part of the learning process.
What do you say to people who want to keep bringing up the crashes? I feel like that's something that you've mentioned now twice, and I hadn't even brought it up.
Oh, I just feel like it's part of my story.
Cool.
So it's not something that I like shy away from. Yeah, I understand. You know, someone just asked me, it's like, oh, what do you think you've done for the sport? Because I've been here for 20 years, right? And I think, and in the sense of making it popular as well, like we're a small sport. It's really hard to relate to me driving a sled down the track going like this, right? That's not very relatable. But me overcoming fear after something, that's relatable. So I think in that sense, it's just a part of me and a part of what I've gone through. So.
Do you ever feel like a role model for people in that regard?
Not really. I don't look at myself that way. I have had a few athletes who have had really large injuries kind of like, hey, how'd you do this? They like approach me in that way because it's super challenging to come back from something like that. So in that sense, but I don't see that as a role model. I just see that as a resource. Like we're all just working together and trying to do, as much as this is a lonesome thing because it's so much inside your mind, especially when you're at such a low point like that. But I was a resource. I don't necessarily think of it as like a role model.
That actually really helps me with my next question, which was, now that you are going for your third time in the Olympics, have you become a mentor, or has your leadership role with USA Luge changed since 2018, for example?
I'm the oldest person on the team now. So Chris retiring, Chris Master, really just...
Was he 36?
I got blindsided by that. It happened overnight. He was planning on continuing, and then life changes. And so I realize, yes, my role has changed, but I'm not someone who like tries to put my experience on someone else. I think that I encourage the younger athletes to ask questions, and their answers would be different than I think I find more value in that than me saying, hey, when I was in your position, this is what I did. Like, no, I take it very much as, hey, have you thought about this, or have you talked to the coaches about this? So I think that's my approach to leading in a sense. I know that we are leaders on the team, and but I want to make sure I'm doing everything with integrity and that I'm doing what I need to do, and that example leads more than my voice.
Well, what I was going to say was leadership doesn't always necessarily mean the loudest voice.
Right. Hopefully.
Sometimes it can just be that quiet voice that goes up to somebody after the fact and says, hey, I thought you did a good job with this.
Yes. And
you could have improved here.
Right. So that's more my approach.
I did want to ask you about what it's like to have your fiancé. That like potentially you guys be competing in the same game in different countries. How does that feel to you?
Oh, I mean, it's the best, right? We've done it twice so far, and the fact that
you hadn't been engaged yet, right?
No, right. So we just got engaged last year.
Right.
Yes, but we've been together for over a decade. So it's the best. I love racing against him in team. So when we have team relays, that's my favorite thing. It just makes it fun. And we say, hey, we give a little trash talk and just say, hey, you'll be at the bottom because we're going to pass you, or something like that. And it's just fun. Yeah. He's the best. Yeah.
I also wanted to ask you about home life. You've moved around a lot, right? Between Falmouth, Suffield, Connecticut, South Carolina, and now here. I don't think I got the timeline correct, but
you got the places, and then we're adding in Italy soon.
What has that been like for you, maybe away from sport, as of just a person, to live, and as you were growing up, to live in multiple different places?
I think, of course, with any growth, there's challenging moments. So I'm curious if you ask my parents that, what their answer would be. But as an adult, for me, I think that it taught me so much, right? I'm comfortable and confident being myself in new environments. And that's really critical. I actually said to Dominic, I said, when we have kids, we might just have to move one time. And he is someone who's grown up in the same town his whole life. And so for him, he's like, what do you mean by that? And I said, well, because I just think you learn so much, and it's a confidence builder. At the same time, that root of home, I am envious that he has, like, his hometown has been his hometown his whole life, and that community and those roots run deep. But at the same time, I don't feel like I'm really lacking that in my life. I have cultivated a lot of amazing people throughout that time from different places. So.
And if we don't take a picture of you and send it to Uncle Jeff, he'll.
Yeah, there we go. You are right.
Speaking of which, what did your time in Maine mean as part of your journey? How did it affect you growing up and being a competitive Olympic athlete?
Yeah, that's where I was when we started. So I tried out from the beginning. I also saw so much, like, my dad was a part of creating the women's hockey program in Falmouth because Megan wanted to play hockey and there wasn't a place for her. So to see all of that was really where I started in sport. When I was young, I was convinced I was not going to be into sports because I'm the youngest of three and my sister and brother were, and I was tired of being dragged around to all their games and competitions and meets, and so I said, no, I'm going to be artistic. And then that lasted about 2 years, and then here I am. But that's where I fell in love with sport and kind of the power behind it.
Was being in Falmouth?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And was it really that experience from Dad creating the hockey team? Because I feel like I remember you saying you spent a lot of time at the rink when he was.
I did, yes, at Family Ice there.
Yeah.
I was just out on the outdoor pond, I feel like, all the time. I think the thing that got me was really lacrosse. That was like what clinched me in, and I wasn't going to leave because I did soccer, track and field. Like I said, stay-at-home dad, so we were involved in a lot of sports. But yeah, I think I just had really good coaches at a young age, which now as an adult, I look at that and I see how dedicated people are to coach youth programs. It's incredible. It's so admirable to me. But I had my dad and another girl's dad as our coaches, and they just did such a great job in cultivating kind of a love for sport.
One thing I've noticed, at least in the U.S., and that I've noticed it, well, in the U.S. now, especially in 2025, there is such an awareness and an emphasis on women in sport. Mm-hmm. However, it seems like in international sports like luge, there hasn't quite been the same divide or maybe lack of coverage that there had been in the U.S. up until recently. Did you notice that at all, or not really?
I think it's the same. I think in winter sport, winter sport and niche sports, it's pretty equal. At least for me, in my experience. In luge, I've always been paid the same amount as a man. I've always, actually, that's not totally true. Women's doubles and men's doubles are a little bit different, but I never felt like I was less than in our small sport. But then you look at ski jumping, it's completely inequitable. And then all of their they don't really have professional women's sports. So I think we're in the forefront of that as Americans. And then we'll see where it goes in Europe.
When it comes to international sport, though,
yes.
I guess I just felt like, because what occurred to me was, I remember, what was it, 2023, Isaac, that March Madness, there was a huge uproar because the men's
the facilities and the food. Yes.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah,
and
I saw.
Somebody else got a community center basketball court and a rack of dumbbells that went up to 15 pounds. Mm-hmm. And they were like, are you kidding me? These guys have an entire ballroom full of Olympic lifting?
Right. It looks like you walked into a CrossFit. Yeah.
Right. And I wasn't sure if that's something that being a professional athlete, if you've noticed anything in the change of how women in sport have been treated, essentially. I think this kind of connects back to what you're saying before, as being international and being in a European-dominated sport, but then being Americans. I, as an individual, as an American athlete, have always felt equal to my male counterparts.
I don't know if some of my international competitors could say the same about their lived experiences. It's something I think about when I think of moving over there, because I see, I don't know, I was always encouraged to play with the boys and beat the boys, right? Like, don't expect less of yourself because you're a girl. Like, that was, I grew up with a stay-at-home dad. I've said it 3 times, but it really was so integral to me growing up the way and that I have, and to have these feelings of, I want to be capable, I want to do all of those things. That was really modeled for me, and I feel like I've tried to internalize that. And when I think of living and growing up in Europe, or having kids in Europe kind of in the future, I think that's something that I need to like drill in as the example, because it's just so important, right? Like, why would we expect less of ourselves? So I look at it, there's a lot of talk right now. Is it going to happen in Cortina? Is it going to happen in Lake Placid? I'm not getting really invested either way, because my relationship, like, we win, right? Like, Dominic gets a home Olympics or I get a home Olympics. So that's all I have, right? That's as far as I've thought about it until they tell me where it's going to be and when it's going to happen. Well, we know when, but.
You had a quote in an article recently from Team USA.
Mm-hmm. I didn't read that one.
It just came out. But there were 2. Mm-hmm. One of them was about your outlook on Olympic medals.
Yes.
And I'm not going to put words in your mouth, so I guess I'll ask you, what is your outlook on your teammates who have won Olympic medals? How do you view them?
Oh, on my teammates who have?
At all.
And my friends and family. Yeah. I think it's incredible. They did it. They did what they were setting their goals. They accomplished their goals, but it doesn't change them, right? They're still my teammates that I've grown up with, and their life is really cool for a month, and then it goes back, right?
When are you going to win your next medal?
Exactly. So it's a really cool experience, and it's huge for all of our funding and everything that way. Like, it's great for programs. I just don't think that they're life-changing. Yeah.
Maybe not as much as competing like this for years and years and years.
Oh, definitely, right? Yes, right. Yes.
You had another quote in there about self-doubt and how that kind of drives you. Did I get that right? That doesn't sound quite right.
No, but
how, when you doubt yourself, you.
Oh, like, if I doubt if I can do something, I have to try. I have to do it. Yes. So that does. If there is a bit of doubt within me, so we talked about, I chose not to go to the last 2 World Cups on the season. If I had doubted if I could do that, if I could go back to Pyeongchang and compete there again, if there was an ounce of doubt, I would have been there. I would have had to have been like, no, I can't shy away from that self-doubt. I need to see it through. So that does drive me sometimes.
How do you balance that sort of need to conquer your self-doubt, right, with maintaining a level head, as all athletes need to do?
It's not a constant thing that I have. I don't think I feel pretty
constantly.
No,
bubbling.
right.
Yeah,
it's just if I'm coming up to a decision, and if there's, I had a coach when I was younger who said, once you do something once, you'll do it again, and that goes for all the good things and the bad things. So if that means, if you're in the weight room and you skip that last set of core at the end of your the end of your program, you're gonna do it again. Like, you know, like you've done it once, you kind of gave yourself the green light, you're probably gonna do it again. That also goes for if you finally make it through a curve for the first time and you do it correctly, you're gonna be able to do it again. So what do you want to kind of allow yourself to do again in life? So that means, so when I come up to a decision, if I feel like I'm choosing one decision because I don't want to deal with something on the other side, that's not okay, right? That's what I mean by the doubt.
You have to conquer that.
Yes,
and prove to yourself.
Because I don't want, what other door am I going to show up to in life? Like, what am I going to just choose the easier way? Like, I don't want that for my life. So that's what I mean by self-doubt. Not necessarily like, oh, I can't do it now.
No,
yeah.
What you said was how I had interpreted reading your quote the first time.
Okay.
What do you wish people knew about you as a person, not necessarily an athlete, that maybe they don't ever get the chance to hear?
I don't know. I think maybe just that we're all people and we're all just trying to do the best.
Why are you giggling?
Because I think it's like, what do people really know about me to begin with? So okay. I don't know. I don't know what people's perceptions are. I don't know where I would want to correct.
No, I mean, it's not perceptions, but I mean, like, what do you wish, you know, like, of all the different things that keep coming up in interviews and media about your athletic skill and then like the things in your life, what do you wish?
Is the takeaway?
What do you wish? Maybe all the reporters focused on that they never did. Is there any part of your life that you wish people knew more about?
No, I think that everything's pretty, at different times, has come up pretty appropriately, right? I didn't talk so much about what happened after my like really big crash in 2018 at the time because I couldn't, because it was so challenging. So maybe there's still some things left unsaid about that, but it's really, I don't know, it's also the same story of a lot of athletes out there, right? Like, we all are going through our challenges and we're all just trying to be intentional about how we can come back from them and be stronger and be better. And that's it. That's all I'm trying to do here.